the six magical skills everybody has to learn to making money. First, I call them the king, queen, and prince and princess. The king skill is sales. The queen is marketing. Then you have I call them the princess skills. The other two ways to make money, which is physical products. That's what Jeff Bezos did. And then just like if you're a millionaire, it's gonna be hard to have business conversation with the dude who has a $50,000 business. Humans now use labels to cover up, oh, I have Asperger's, I have this. I'm like, really, do you? Because first off, the word Asperger's is just a word.
Yeah.
It's not a real thing. I think we often, like, I'll give you an example. People say they're introverts. And they say, oh, I'm an introvert, I need to recharge my batteries. I don't know if you ever heard, people talking about, but most people that call themselves introverts are actually people with high social anxiety. There's a score called the Hexaco score, which is more scientific. They would have lower social boldness is what it's called. So a lot of people out there calling themselves introverts are just anxious people, socially anxious. And so they might actually be extroverts. That's why I have a lot of introvert friends that like to go to house parties, but they want to stay like a fly on the wall, but they enjoy, like, they're not reclusive. They're not hermits. And so what I say to them is, you probably are an extrovert. You just haven't overcome your social anxiety yet. So I'm like, you need to read. There's a whole group of entrepreneurs who battle with me. You don't need mentors. You don't need books. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's self-sufficiency narcissism. I'll figure it out on my own. But it's a very illogical stance. You don't learn a language on your own. I can't. If I want to learn Chinese, I can't go, the answers are within. No, you learn Chinese, go to China, do a little internship for 6 months where you have to speak it. Nobody speaks English. Those are your mentors, in-person interaction. Mentors, you need books. Well, in-person mentors are always better. But how would you learn from Nietzsche? He died in the 1800s. So you got to use books. Books are like a quasi mentor. Not as good, but a necessity. Narcissism, when you are a superhero, is a superpower. Let me repeat. When you yourself are a superhero, narcissism is like steroids. It makes you even more of a superhero. What happens is, the way genetics works is it's just dispensing narcissism. Evolution is like very non-discriminatory in a certain way. Just like, we're going to have a certain person. And the worst person you ever meet is someone who does not have the skills to back it up, but inherited that narcissism gene. I'll give you a good example. One time I was in Manhattan and a big bar fight was about to break out, all these dudes. And I had a guy with me who was weak, but had hyper confidence. So when these big dudes were coming up to him, the guy was like 5'5", and he was not a good fighter. Yeah. And he had the confidence of Conor McGregor. And that confidence almost got killed at him. But the point is, now let's say I used to have a guy, well, I still do. I have a guy travel with me, big bodyguard type guy, Rome. He's 6'6", 330 pounds. He's confident in his skills and has the physicality to back it up. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're like all Forbes list guys will score high in narcissism. But they have the IQ and the business skill to back it up. So it takes them from being worth 100 million to being worth 100 billion. If you're an entrepreneur and you don't have the natural skill set to back that confidence, is going to get you. I believe that social media, there's this thing I call it SSGs, self-selected groups. It means that IQ breaks into different groups. For example, there's no super high IQ. Medical doctors aren't the smartest ones. I'm not saying doctors aren't smart, but if you look at the data, their IQ, lawyers, doctors, architects, engineers, generally fall like 120 to 135. So there's a self-selected group. Just like if you're a hyper-aggressive dude, Navy SEALs are like 80% psychopaths. Occupations do the same thing. Countries do the same thing. America is a certain personality type. People move, and it's been that way for hundreds of years. The French used to call America the merchants. People who like money genetically have moved to America. That's why we're the best at making money. People who are happy stay in Scandinavia. That's why Denmark's the happiest country in the world. So you get all of life breaks into these SSG, self-selected groups. TikTok is a self-selected group. I find the highest IQ people on social media probably end up on Twitter. It's also the highest, what I call threat defenders, people driven by cortisol and stress. So also the most sensitive. So the sensitive, high IQ people love Twitter. They call that thick markets. You got to move to the thick market of, if you like blondes, don't live in Los Angeles. You ain't making enough money. I tell people, well, you probably got to move. People, you can live in the wrong. If your goal is above app, if your goal is make 100 to 500 grand, you can live anywhere, but it's easier. Now, Warren Buffett defies this. He's like, I'm not going to move to New York. He stayed in Omaha, Nebraska, but he's a third generation, wealthy, extra high IQ guy. For the average entrepreneur, when things aren't working out, I'm like, fix it with geography first. Tattoos, lots of tattoos, is almost always high anxiety, which is comorbid with depression. People's actions leave clues to their inner mind. I'm more of an inner mind guy. I believe if you ask a scientist who really looks at our genes, we're more hunter-gatherers than we are modern people or even farmers. All the things that happen to people that I think scars people for the longest, it's bullying. I mean, like, if you have kids and your kids get bullied one time, take them out of the school. You kids can't toughen up to bullying. Bullying is like, it creates actually Machiavellian traits. It's the one mental illness somewhat that's not really genetic. It goes from bullying. And just people get destroyed. I was reading Elon Musk's book. His dad, who's kind of a strange fellow, pretty smart, but Elon won't talk to his dad anymore. But his dad just taught his kids toughen up. Elon got beat up one time so much. I think it was either him or Elon's brother was in the hospital for like a month. No, it was Elon. It said in this book that Elon to this day still has to go get surgery sometimes on his nose because he got his nose broken so many times. I didn't get bullied much, but one of my brothers got bullied really bad, and I saw the repercussions. I didn't get bullied. I was pretty athletic, and but people mature at different ages. Some people, like Elon Musk, became a genius later.
Right.
So no, I think bullying is the disaster. Besides the fact that the school doesn't teach you anything, I call them, there's the 6 magical skills everybody has to learn to making money. Ironically, elementary school, middle school, junior high, high school, and university, 99% of people don't learn one of the 6 magical things. So, the first, I call them the king, queen, and prince and princess. The king skill is sales.
Mm-hmm.
Making money, the most correlated behavior, if you look at the Forbes list, 75% of self-made billionaires did it through direct sales. It was one of their first jobs. Elon Musk had it. Bill Gates had it. Steve Jobs had it. Mark Cuban told me he was selling garbage bags door to door. So sales is the king. The queen is marketing. The queen is automating sales. But so this king is still direct, being able to sell, negotiate deals. I've done a lot of business with guys on the Forbes list. I own a couple companies with some of them. These are tough dudes. Tough. I call them all the warlords. Nobody on the Forbes list, but everyone on the Forbes list at the top is a warlord. But these warlords have one master king skill, which is direct sales, negotiation, persuasion. Then marketing is just automating that, making a commercial about it, making a funnel. Like here in my garage is just the same thing I would tell people one-on-one. I flipped it into an automated funnel. That's marketing. So you got the king and queen. School doesn't teach you that. Most parents can't teach it. Then below that, you have the 2 princes, because I tell everybody, just focus on making money online. Every other type of business will slowly become obsolete. So you've got, the prince number 1 is you learn how to resell other people's products. That's what Apple does. Every time you buy something on the App Store, they get 30%. It's the most profitable part. So reselling is a prince skill for making money. Number 2 is digital products. Elon Musk started with digital products. PayPal. Zuckerberg, richest young guy ever in modern history. It's all a digital product. Facebook. Then you have I call them the princess skills. The other 2 ways to make money, which is physical products. That's what Jeff Bezos did. And then lastly is business services, like an SMMA, social media marketing, or software as a service. Larry Ellison, I call him the unknown billionaire. He's number 4 richest person in the world. He does the 4th one. He has Oracle, NetSuite. I pay him, one of my companies would pay him $200,000 a year for his software. So the school system's in shambles because not one person comes out of school with the king, queen skills or any of the prince, princess skills. Like, you're just sending your kids to be bullied. Parents supposed to love their kids. I always say, this shows you the conscious and unconscious mind. The conscious mind of parents, almost every parent loves their kid. But if you look at the behavior, which is the telltale sign of the unconscious, parents rarely love their kids. rarely love their kids.
Wow.
And a geneticist would say the same thing, an evolutionary psychologist. The reason men and women almost always get married, look, for the individual child, it's better to be an only child. You get all your mother and father's attention. So there's always a balance. Even in the womb, the fetus, the baby, is actually hurting the mother. It's stealing resources, even in the blood. So there's people think families are like always lovey dovey. I'm like, have you been on, Fast and Furious is all about, it's all about family. I'm like, have you been on Earth? Like, families exploit each other.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters exploit each other. So school is a great example of how parents rarely care about their kids.